Let's dive into Stape server-side for Shopify. Just a moment about who I am. I'm Manisha Mistry. I'm an instructor at MeasureU.com. I started with MeasureU in 2022. I became a certified measurement marketer at the same time. As an instructor at MeasureU, I work directly with our dedicated measurement management clients. I help them implement tools like Stape. I'm right in there working on Stape with them. Love answering your questions in MeasureU, so if you have questions, hit me up. I also love BigQuery, Analytics Canvas, Looker Studio, Google Tag Manager server side. So you got those questions? Hit me up. Alrighty, with any one of our trainings, remember one thing. Grab one thing today. Ride the bike, circle back, and grab another one thing. Before we begin, let's remember our measurement marketing framework that helps us go from marketing in the blind to marketing where you can rely on revenue and profit. There are three key pillars to our framework: plan, build, and launch. Plan is all about questions, information, and actions. Ensure you can take action on those questions. If not, circle back and update your questions. Build is all about results, traffic, and story. Having those results and that traffic tell you a story. And then in launch, we listen, we forecast, and we optimize. Many of us try to rush to optimization. We want to ensure we plan, build, and then launch. Alrighty, let's dive into setting up Stape now. And we're going to go through a series of steps to get things set up. Step number one is we're going to be creating a Stape account. Let's go there. Alrighty, so to set up your Stape account, you're going to go to stape.io and you're just going to let the page load. Do note you can use Stape and start it with Stape completely for free. You do not need to set up a credit card. You basically can just go in here and try for free. Also, we personally love Stape and we are paid partners of Stape. So I'm going to go try for free and I'm just going to hop in here. I'm going to enter my email address, data@tommytrader.com. And make sure you pick the right location. If you happen to be EU, pick EU. For us, we're global. We don't need the EU. And then make sure you check the relevant boxes and then go sign up with email. You can also sign up with Google. I'm just going to make this banner disappear. You can sign up with Google if you just want to use your Google single sign-on. I'm going to go sign up with email. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go check your inbox. So I'm going to pause and do that. Alrighty, so I just received the email and I'm going to pull it on the screen. Basically, you get an email like this. It'll say set your password, get started with Stape. Remember, you can start completely for free. So I'm going to come in here and set my password. It's going to load a page and we're going to enter a secure password. Pick a password that's secure. I'm going to use LastPass to create my password. You can use whatever password tool you want to use to create your password. Alrighty, so I just have a password saved and I'm just putting it in and I'm hitting save password. And we're just giving it a second to load. Alrighty, so it's loaded and we're all good. You can add billing information if you want. However, you can start completely for free. There's no rush to add billing. Basically, you're going to come in here. You're going to go create a SGTM container. You can click on the blue button or you can click on the button here and then you can move ahead with setting up your server-side GTM. Alrighty, now that we have our Stape account set up, we're going to move on to step 2, creating your server container in Stape. Alrighty, so here we are. We're going to use our live Stape account for this. We happen to have using Stape right now, actually, as you can see, for our profit school, and we'll be expanding Stape across all our sites over the next few months. So we're going to use this teaching container mainly for the remainder of the workshop. Just want to show you how you create a container in here. So you can click on this blue button here, or you can come up here. And then you click on this blue button here. It's the same button. Okay, so first you want to do is name your container. For today, let's just name mine Shopify Store. I need to spell store with a capital S, 2025. I'm going to put the word training in here just because this is a training container, but name your container accordingly. If your client's name in there, just make sure you name it accordingly so you know if you have multiple clients in there, you at least know whose container is whose. Now, you need your container configuration. Where do you get that? So we're actually going to hop into Google Tag Manager. This is tagmanager.google.com. You're going to scroll down to the account you want to create your server container in. So I have access to a few different accounts in this big square. You can see this is our teaching account. So I'm going to click on the three dots here. I'm going to go down to the last one, which is create container. Okay. Now I'm going to name my container. I'm going to name this 2025 Shopify. I'm actually going to start with the word. I like to have the word server. Shopify store. Okay? Now, you're not going to pick web. You're going to go down and pick the last one, which is server. And you're going to click create. And now you're just going to give it a minute. Okay. What's going to happen is it's going to give you this pop-up and say, how do you want to install this? Now, we're not going to do automatically provision because this would provision it on the Google Cloud. We don't want to do that today. We want to go manually provision. And then it's going to give you this long string of characters. Don't have to worry about understanding it. You're just going to click the two rectangles. You're going to hop back over into Stape. You're going to paste that value there. That's all you're going to do. And then you're going to pick your location. For this case, I'm going to pick US Central. Pick the location that works for your client or whoever you're setting up Stape for, the server for. If they happen to be in EU, you want to pick EU. Hey, if they happen to be in Canada, pick Canada if that works for them. We're going to go with US. And we're going to go create a container. As always, you have the option to start with Stape completely for free. And you can come down here and just go continue with the free plan. Or we go with the Pro plan. So we usually start with is the Pro. And then if we need to, we upgrade to Pro Plus or Business. But today we can just start completely for free. We can keep this on or off if you want to, upgrade to the next year. We're going to keep that off because I don't want to enter a credit card right now. And I'm going to go continue with the free plan. And as you can see, it's right over here, this one. And you can see my server's running. It might go through a couple steps where it's like, hey, verifying, setting up, and then running. But this is running. Now, we're not going to use this container. We're actually going to use this teaching container for the remainder of the teaching because this one's waiting for configuration. So what I'm actually going to do is just give me a hot second here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to grab this container ID and I'm going to pop it in here. But what I'm also going to do is go delete that container so that container doesn't use it. So let me just go do that right now because we are not going to be using this container for the remainder of the training. So I'm coming back to our teaching container, and I'm just waiting for it to get configured. It might take a hot minute. Let's see what happens. See, deploying. You can actually see this live, what's happening. In a few minutes, they'll say verifying. Yep. And basically that means that I'm going to be doing my configuration in here. I'm just going to give it a second, and it's going to say verifying. There we go, running. We're done. Our server's live. Alrighty, now that you have your container set up, it's time to configure our server container. So here we are back in our teaching container. We're going to come down, and if you can see under domains, you'll notice that your domain is a Stape domain. You want your server to be on the same domain as your site. Our Shopify store, I'm going to hop into our Shopify store over here. It's on shopify.measureyou, so we're going to want our server on the same domain. Now to do this, we're going to click on Add Custom Domain. We're going to scroll down and go s.measureyou.com. Then we're going to come down under How to Connect and click on Manually, and then we're going to go Next. We're going to give it a second, and it's going to give us a CNAME record. Now at this time, you really have two choices. I happen to have access to the MeasureU Cloudflare account. So I can come in here into the DNS and add a record. If you cannot do this for any reason, just email this to your client and have them do this and just give them these copy and paste values. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to copy here. I'm going to change the type to CNAME. I'm going to pop in the first record here. Then I'm going to go back into Stape and I'm going to grab the value and I go back to DNS. I'm going to pop in the next value here. I'm going to turn off proxy and I'm going to go save. I'm just going to give it a minute. And then I'm going to hop back into Stape and I'm going to go verify. It can take up to 72 hours to verify your custom domain, so don't worry if it does take some time. You can click on this link. It will load this custom domain, subdomain is not verified page, and you can kind of walk through this. I really like the dig tools, and you can come in here and kind of see what's going on. So basically all you do is you type in your domain and you see if this is appearing. And if it is, it's all good. See, you see that? If it's not, then potentially something's wrong with the DNS. So I'm actually going to hop in here. I'm going to hit refresh and just see by any chance if my domain is verified. Like I said, it can take up to 72 hours. Oh, look, there you go. It's verified. So now our custom domain is set up. Another way to check your domain is copy your domain, hop into a new browser window, paste it, and then go /healthy and see what comes up. If it says, okay, our domain's set up. Now, there's one other step you need to do. You need to hop into your server container. You're going to hop into admin. You're going to hop into container settings. You're going to go add a URL, and you're going to paste the URL here like this. You can look right there, and it tells you what to paste. And then you're going to go save. And I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm on the latest version of this container. For some reason, it wants me to refresh, so I'm just going to refresh. And I'm just going to TBV, trust but verify that my change took effect. Okay, so now what we can do is just to take a look if our server is running well. We can put our server in preview mode and make sure it loads from s.measureyou.com. So we're just going to wait for this to show up. Sometimes I'll do that, but give it a second. Okay, so now we see this loaded. Now what we can do is, remember this window where we had the healthy? Hit that again. Go back to your server container. This one over here. Not this one. This one here. You'll see this show up. Come back over here. Let's just try Manisha. Enter. Go back in here. Oh, wrong one. Here. And you'll see this show up. This tells me my server is receiving hits from people, send hits that way. So this tells me my server is active. So we've now set up our custom domain. Alrighty, let's dive into step 4, implementing GTM in our Shopify store. Alrighty, so we have our Stape all set up. Now we're going to take a minute and go into our Shopify store. We're going to come down the left bar and we're going to go add apps. And we're going to then go to get more recommendations in the Shopify app store. And we're going to give this a second to load. And once it loads, we're going to click in the search bar. I'm going to type in Stape. Make sure we click in there. And then look for Stape Server GTM and click on that. Now we're going to click the black install button. Alrighty, so we're just going to give this a minute to install. And it's going to ask you, do you want to install it? We're going to say yes. And now we're just giving it a minute. And here we go. So the boxes are checked because we teach and we're always coming in here and checking and unchecking stuff. But what's going to happen is you're going to see it unchecked and you're actually not going to see a number here, okay? You're going to check the box for installing GTM web. Then you're going to go find your web container. I happen to have my web container here because remember, you have a web and a server container. You're going to click on the GTM ID here. You're going to find the ID in between two quotes here like this. You're going to go Control C on your keyboard. I'm on a window, so it's Control C. Hop back into Shopify. Go here and paste this in here, and then you're going to go save. Don't worry about the other checkboxes. We're going to dive into those in a few minutes. Okay. So now you've saved this. I just want to make sure I saved it. Okay, saved. Now, the next thing you need to do is set up your data layer. So you're going to scroll up, and you're going to come click on Data Layer. Okay, you are going to check this box. Then we are going to follow the steps word for word that are written here, step 1 to 6. So we're going to click here to go to this page it's requesting us to go to. And we're going to let this load. In the background, we're just going to let this load. While it loads, we're going to give it a name, and then we're going to go in the privacy section, and under permission spoiler, please select not required. Let's go do that together. So I'm letting this load. Then I'm going to go add custom pixel. I'm going to name it, I like naming it something like Stape e-commerce. So my team knows, or the client knows that it's that. I'm going to go add pixel. And then it said, once you named it, it said you're going to go under permissions, and you're going to go do not require, not require. And then we're going to go back to that page, and we need to copy this code. They have a great button right over here, so just copy, back in there. You want to make sure you select everything in here. I'm doing a Control A on my keyboard, and then I'm doing a Control V, and just pasting it. And then you have to save. Save is up here, and then you have to hit connect. And give this a second, and it's going to give you a pop-up. And we are connected. And then to TBV this, you can come back to customer events. And you can see it's connected. And now it's all set up. And going back into this one, we just have to go here and hit save. That's the last step. So we've set up ecom, and we've set up our web container on our store. Now we'll dive into the other things like custom loader and cookie keeper in a bit. Alrighty. Now that we have our web container installed in Shopify, it's time to set up our tags, triggers, and variables in both our server and web container. We want to do it fast, so let's dive in. Alrighty, so we have our web container ready to go. We have our server container ready to go. As you may have noticed, the only tag we have in here only client we have in here is the GA4 client. We have no tags, we have no triggers. Coming into our web container, we have nothing. You may have stuff in here, which is fine. We happen to have an empty container. Now, Stape has done an awesome job for us. If you go to this link, we're going to provide it in the description. It is a GitHub repo, and they already have these pre-configured JSONs for us. And these configured JSONs are basically tags and triggers you need to set up. We're going to download 2 of them. We're going to download this GA4 Google Ads web container. So I'm actually going to click on this, give it a hot second to load. We're going to come here, we're going to look at this download file button and just click on that. And we can see it download. Okay, we're just actually going to back it up here now. So we download the web. We need to download the server as well. So I'm going to come over here. Again, hot second to load and download. All done. Okay, so first we're going to hop into our web container. Then we're going to click on admin. Then we're going to come here and go to import a container. Then we're going to go choose a file. I'm going to give it a second to load. I'm going to scroll down to downloads and I'm going to pick web container and I'm going to go open. Now, this is where you want to be really cautious. You don't want to overwrite. You want to merge and you want to rename any conflicts. We won't have any because this is a brand new container, but you most likely are doing this on a web container that already has stuff in it. So you want to make sure you merge and rename. So if there are conflicts, you can deal with them. Then you're just going to kind of take a look and you're going to go add to workspace. And we're going to give it a second. And it wants me to refresh. So sometimes GTM wants you to do that. Just give it a good refresh. Alrighty. So now we have to come into here. Now, if you go into variables, folders actually, and you're going to come in here and you go Stape settings. And there's 2 you need to update. You need to first give it your GA4 measurement ID. So I'm going to come in here. I need to get my GA4 measurement ID. So let me go load GA4. I'm just going to go to analytics and give this a second to load. Alrighty, here we go. So to get our measurement ID, we're going to click on admin. This is our Shopify store. And we're just giving admin a second to load. Under data collection and modifications, you're going to click on data stream. And as long as you have your stream created, you're going to click on it. And then you come here and copy your measurement ID. And you're going to hop back over to your web container and you're going to paste that there. I just did a copy and then I did a Control-V on my keyboard and hit save. Now, the next piece of information is you need your server container URL. Where can you get that? You can hop back into your server container. You can go to admin. You can then go to container settings, and then you can come down here, copy that. I'm just doing Control-C on my keyboard. I'm hopping back in here, and I'm going paste. Alrighty. We've set up our 2 constants. We've put our measurement ID in, set out, and our server container in. So that's the basics we need to do in here. And we're ready to hit preview. But wait, we haven't set up our server container yet. So we're going to close out of here. In admin again. In our server container, come down to import container. Come here to choose a container file. We're looking now for our Google Ads GA4 server. Open. And the same steps here. You never want to overwrite. You want to merge. And you want to rename conflicts. Come in here. Add. Okay, so we have that all set up. We can come on over into folders and Stape settings. And as you can see, some Google Ads we need to set up. But because we're not setting up Google Ads, we're not as concerned about that. I'm just coming in here and TBVing what's all in here. So we're all good here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our server in preview. Give this a second. Our server's now in preview. We need to go grab our Shopify URL. So I'm actually going to go get that. Let me just grab that. And I'm going to come back into my web container and go preview. And I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to go connect. And fingers crossed, everything crossed. Let's hope we get some green lights. We got a green light here. I kind of like to give it a second to load. So we see we are firing events here. Let's go take a look at our server. That's this one. And we can see that we are firing events here. I'm just trying to move these around. I like it when I have the setup where I have the site here. And then immediately next to it's a web container. And then immediately after this, it's the server preview. So I can kind of come here and be like, okay, I'm going to click on this button. And then I'm going to go see if it fired in the web world. And then I'm going to go see if it fired in the server world. So now we know we've loaded. And we've got our tags and triggers. We can actually go check ecom quickly. So I'm actually going to go click on this item, this test product. And we want to, and we expect to see a view item fire. So again, give it a second. And because we have our tabs nicely lined up, we're just going to click here. And we come down here and we see this view item by Stape. We can see that Stape sent over a view item. We're going to come over into our server container now, and we can see the view item here. And then the final TBV you can do is come into Analytics, X out of here. Under Admit, you're going to come back to that gear icon. You're going to come down to Data Display, and you're going to come over to Debug View. Debug View can be a hit and miss, right? So you just want to give it a second. Sometimes you'll see yourself, sometimes you won't. Oh, here we go. We see ourselves, and we can see that we're firing very well. So we know everything is firing now, which is all good. Next, we're going to set up our power-ups. Alrighty, so let's move on to step number 6. It's time to set up our power-ups in Stape. Alrighty, so we just finished TBVing, everything was firing, so I'm actually going to close out those windows. I'm going to hit Leave, and I'm going to hit Leave here, and I'm just going to close out our store as well. So we'll keep our containers open. I'm actually going to come out of our Shopify store and close this as well, and just sort of close the windows that we had open. So we're going to hop back into Stape now, and we're going to set up power-ups. Power-ups are, I'm going to say, something I love about Stape, because something that could be a lot more work in Google Cloud can take you seconds in Stape. So the first one we want to set up is Custom Loader. There's a great article Stape has on Custom Loader, but Custom Loader has some great functionalities that I'm going to show you live. So let me actually I'm actually going to bring the preview back, because I want to show you what Custom Loader is actually going to do. So I'm going to actually load the preview here, and load the preview here again. So let's just take a hot minute to do that. Now, when your site loads, if you right-click and go to Inspect, what's going to load is Chrome DevTools. Okay, when you come into Network, I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to refresh this page. We're going to let it load. Okay, what we want to look for is GTM. What you're looking for is the GTM.js. Okay, if you come in here and look at the header, you'll notice the request URL that GTM is loading from is still the Google Tag Manager domain, meaning that our web container is still being loaded by Google Tag Manager. We want it to load from our first-party domain because we get first-party context, and it's just better for tracking. So how do you do that with Stape? Okay, so what we're going to do is come into Stape, and you're going to go Use Custom Loader. You're just going to click that, and you're going to turn it on. Okay, and you're going to go Save Changes. And then there's a couple things you need to do here. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you have your web container. You can keep this the same, pick your platform, and go Generate. Alrighty, now there's a little bit of information here. We've already entered our web container in Stape in Shopify. What we need is a container loading path. So we're going to copy this. Now we need to go back into our Shopify store. And then what we need to do is go add a custom domain, and we're just going to add it here. You can see it was there. Just going to add it there. I'm going to go Save. Okay, so now that that's loaded, then we're going to come on over. And we're going to close this out. And we're going to close this out. Leave. And we are going to close this one out. And we're going to come to our server container. We're going to put it in preview. And we're going to come over here to our web container. We're going to put it in preview. And we're going to connect now. Let's just make sure our server's running. Yep, it is. Perfect. I'm coming here. Alrighty. Now, we want to TBV is right-click on here. Go to Inspect. Give it a second. You're loading the Chrome DevTools. Network. I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to come in here and hit Enter so we can see all the good network juice here. Come in here, look for GTM. Click on it. And you will see now our web container is loading from the S measure U. So it's loading from our domain. And this is awesome because you want this. You get that first-party context now. Now, there's one more setting. So I'm actually hop back into Stape. Let me actually close this out. And I'm going to close this out and close this out. Yeah, I can leave this, and I'm going to close the server out too. Okay, so there's one more. There's another container identifier. What does this do? So let's actually go do that together. So I'm going to come into here. I'm going to go into my Shopify store. I'm going to add custom loader, and you're going to put this number here. We happen to have it here. And then we have Cookie Keeper. We'll talk about that in a second, and we're going to go save. Okay, hop back over here. We're going to put our server in preview. And you don't have to do all these steps again and again. You could also just keep the preview and just refresh it. I just like to do it. It's my way of doing it. But you can totally just refresh and the changes will appear. Okay, so now I'm loading it and I'm going to go back into inspect. And I'm going to go into network. And I'm going to just take this away and I'm going to go. Now remember last time I was able to come in here and look for GTM and I had a GTM.js. Okay, for a second here, do you see a GTM.js? And the answer is no. So the way Stape does is when you have custom loaders, it won't make it apparent. But what you could do is look for your domain, measureyou.com, and you'll find it to look like something like this. And this is it loading GTM. It is not hiding it, and it is not going around the rules. This is just Stape's functionality. So just make sure it's something you can use and you run it by. If you need to, you're a privacy officer, there's something you can do. You don't have to do this. Remember, you have the option of checking the boxes you want to check here. So you know what? You enter your web GTM container, you put your custom domain, and then custom loader gives you that option. Again, this is something you want to review with the business owner client, but it is definitely a great option for people using Stape. Finally, we're going to do one more, which is Cookie Keeper. I'm going to come into Stape, and I'm going to say this is all done, and save changes. And we're good here. So now we're going to go back to Power Ups. And we're just going to turn on Cookie Keeper. Now, Cookie Keeper just extends the life of your cookies. Figure out which cookies work for you. We want to stay cookie analyst, maybe use Google Ads, TikTok, Facebook. Clivio happens to be one very popular in the Shopify world. LinkedIn is getting out there now. I know Bing is getting popular now. So I'm not running any ads right now for my Shopify store, but if I was, I'm pretty sure these would be the platforms. So I can hit save. And then in my Shopify store, you have to enter this information. Generate. It's going to give you the same information. This is the exact same information. So you come back into your Shopify store. The only thing you need to do is this Cookie Keeper. Okay. Now, there's one final thing you just want to note here is if you notice this code expanded. If you have pages, landing pages, that are not Shopify pages, but they're like unbounced pages, lead pages that you use, but you want them measured by GTM, you're going to put this script as high in the head as possible on those pages. A lot of those programs have ability to put, code in the header. You're going to make sure you do that and hit save. And then you've now configured custom loader and Cookie Keeper. Alrighty, step number 7, time to TBV. Trust but verify our setup. I cannot wait to do this, so we'll see you there. Alrighty, so we have our server container. Let's put it in preview. And it's just going to take a second to load. Okay, I'm going to come here and we're going to go here. And we are going to put this into preview. And we're going to type in our URL, which is, what I'm actually going to do? I'm just going to go into here and type in server. I think it's going to come up if I type in server. Shopify. Shopify. There you go. I just wanted to make it easy on myself. I didn't want to have to type it all. Connect. Moment of truth, folks. Okay, are we going to see a little green checkbox? We see a little green checkbox. Are you excited? Okay. And we see we're coming through. We are setting up. Hold on. Let's go back. We can see our config tag fired, right, to our server. Let's go take a look at our server. Oh, hold on. Wait. I never like when it flips around. So we got a page view here. We're collecting data. You can see it sent it over. Now, the other thing we can do is come into analytics, close out of here. Back into this admin, under data display, you can scroll all the way to the bottom, there's debug view. Sometimes this can be a hit and a miss. Sometimes you'll see it here, sometimes you won't. We're right now not seeing ourselves, but we're going to keep this open because we might get lucky and see ourselves, okay? Let's do some more actions on the site. But we are seeing ourselves in here, which is totally awesome. We're seeing this sent over to Google Analytics 4, which is awesome. Okay, let's go take some actions. So we're going to close this. So we can see that was sent. Let's check on the top here. We can see the page view was sent. And as you can see, the config and the page view are separated, right? And if we wanted to take a look at what these values were, we can see that, and this is where it's sending it. Okay, so come back in here. Let's scroll down, and we're going to view this test product. It sounds like a really awesome product. We're going to come back into here, and let's see what's happening. Okay, so we see a page loading, and you see, if you just notice, number 14 says view item state. So it's sending over the view item event with all its details. This item is $10. It is test, right? Totally, this is all totally correct, right? That is the URL, so this is awesome. I'm going to come back in here and see if we're seeing ourselves. Like I said, sometimes it's a hit and a miss. The other way you can TBV this is right-click in here. go to inspect, and then come into network. I'm actually going to delete this, and I'm going to refresh this page. And what I'm going to type in here is I'm going to type in view underscore, and it should have the event. And there you go. So payload, I'm going to scroll down, and what I'm looking for is event name view item. So we know what's being sent because we're seeing it in the DevTools too, right? We see it being sent from here, and we see it being sent from Tag Manager. Now the other thing you may notice is in the header, in the request URL. I'm going to shrink this a little, okay? You notice how this is measure you, right? This is our S measure you. This is our server sending it. Our server is collecting the information. Our server, this is all first party, right? We'll come back in here and see if we see ourselves. Sometimes debug view works, sometimes it doesn't. But I can also TBV it here, right? Our server's seeing it, right? We see our server seeing it. So coming in here, view item, it sent it on over, right? It sent it on over. So it sent over this. It sent on over this event. So this is exactly what we wanted, right? It sent it over. So we're seeing this too, right? So this is our way of kind of validating what's being sent. Okay, so come back here. Let's kind of go through a purchase together. Okay, so let's keep DevTools open. I'm going to add to cart, and then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to type in add underscore and give it a second. Sometimes it takes a second, sometimes it doesn't. But we can also TBV in here. Okay, there you go. It added to cart. So we can see it fired here, right? We saw it add to cart fired. Are we in DevTools? I'm going to refresh DevTools. Not DevTools, sorry. Debug view. I'll be honest, sometimes I show up in debug view right away, and sometimes I just don't. So we're just going to like cross our fingers and see what happens. Oh, here we go. See, the refresh helped. This is awesome because now we can TBV it coming through here. We can see an add to cart came through, and then we can see all the product information, right? We can see the page type, all that good stuff. But if we come here in the items, we can see the item was sent over. And yep, this is totally the test item. And we can come in here and go into here, and you can see the test item here. Okay, so let's continue on our journey. Come back in here, and I'm going to go view my cart because I really want to buy something. And we can actually, we'll just shrink DevTools a little. How do we do that? Let's do that now. Like this, and go check out. And let's just go take a look at this. So coming here, we see the view cart fired. There is no tag for view cart, but if you want one for view cart, I'm pretty sure you could set it up on here. They don't have the cart set up, but you could totally set one up yourself on this, and it has the information in the data layers. If you want to set that up, totally possible. Now, sometimes it does that. Actually, sorry, it does this for sure because on the checkout, you don't have tracking. This is normal Shopify behavior. We do not have a Shopify Plus store. We have a basic plan. So we are going to go dark on the checkout right here, which is fine. Let's do this. Let's put in some information. I think the code is test. Hopefully that works. Yes, it works. Okay, perfect. Come in here. This is fine. We've entered all the information. I'm going to complete our order. We want to make sure is when we make it to that final thank you page, that is where the tracking picks up because we go back to our domain now, right? So now we're just going to wait a hot minute, let that green check mark appear, not get overexcited, right? Let's see if our server received it. Okay, come back in here. Let's see here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, okay, so there's one final step. To TBV the purchase goes through, what you're going to have to do, because of the way Shopify works, is you're going to come back in here. You're going to come back in here. Is publish your container. So we're going to go submit. We're going to publish this container. We're going to go publish e-commerce with Stape. Publish this. We're going to come back here. And I'm going to go submit. And go publish Stape. Setup. Submit. Now what we'll have to do is we go into a brand incognito window and then we can TBV the purchase from there. So we can do that together. I'm actually just going to slide incognito on the screen. What I do want to do is grab my URL if I can. Let's see if I can get my URL quickly. I'll go into preview and I'll just grab my URL from here. Okay, we'll go here. We'll pull this on the screen. We'll just pop this in here. Give it a second to load. We'll bring up our friendly DevTools. We will Move it over just a little, go into network, have that tab ready to go. We're going to X out of there. I'm going to go test product. I'm going to go add to cart. I'm going to go view my, actually, I'm just going to go straight to checkout. My goal is get to that purchase. We're going to enter the same information as before. We're going to enter the same discount code as before. And we are going to go. I'm hopefully GTM's out. I don't want to pay with PayPal. Hold on here. I do not want to pay with PayPal. Did I go express check or PayPal? I think I did by accident. Let's go not pay with PayPal. Let's go add to cart again. And let's go view my card. And that's fine. We can now go check out. A little too fast there. And we got information. We're going to cancel at $20. So I don't need to give them a credit card. Perfect. And now we don't need to pay with PayPal and complete that order. Let it all load. So now we're seeing a collect. You can see our server, payload. Scroll down, look for that event name. There's a lot of information in here, so you just need to kind of look in it. So right there, purchase. As you can see, it's also sending over all my user information. So my email, my name, my last name, right? First name, last name, my address, not my real address, but all my information, right? So you got all that information. And there you go. You're fully set up, right? That's your final TBV. And you can do that with your client too. Like you can have your client on the call and just show them this. Look at that final TBV. Alrighty, so we officially set up Stape on our Shopify store. We're tracking our ecom, and didn't you love how quick it was to get those tags and triggers in your containers? Was that your one thing? Because that was definitely my one thing, was downloading those containers from GitHub and just importing them and being like, oh my God, I had changed 2 things and my ecom's live. Let us know your one thing in the comments. Join us in Measure You and let us know your one thing there too. That'd be awesome. As I mentioned, join us in Measure You. You can go to measureyou.com/workshops. You can join the community completely for free. You can put up a post in our student lounge. Tell us how much you enjoy this workshop. Tell us what your one thing was. Hit us up if you have questions. And there you have it. That was Stape server-side for Shopify.